The objectives for this chapter are to examine the changes in consumer behavior in relation to sustainable development, to identify the various types of consumers, to explore the motives for responsible consumption, to explain the factors influencing a responsible consumption decision process, to analyze behavioral variances towards consumption. The consumers are the main actors of responsible consumption. Today's consumers, as global citizens, can influence companies and public authorities in various ways. As consumers with their purchase practices, as investors, by choosing to invest in companies engaged in environmental protection, and as citizens by electing a government and influencing policies. The general public, as citizens and consumers, is increasingly interested in business strategies with regard to social welfare and environmental protection. Tourists' interest in the environment has gradually increased over the past decades, with the majority of travelers preferring to choose environmentally friendly hotels. The ecotourist. Ecotourism, which has developed over the past decade in the tourism field, is one of the fastest growing and a lucrative segment of tourism. Ecotourism is a form of tourism that takes account of the needs of the environment in addition to the needs of the tourist. It is a form of tourism that does not contribute to the crowding issue and all the environmental problems it brings with it. It is a model of destination development that engages the communities in, sustainably, designing their future. Tourists' attitudes regarding environmental issues are highly dependent on where they originally come from. Furthermore, a hotel's performance on environmental issues is highly dependent on where its core guests come from. Greek hoteliers, for example, have greatly improved their environmental performance because the majority of their guests come from Germany, where people's environmental protection and awareness are relatively high. Internationally operating hotel chains accommodate guests from various countries and cultures. This variety creates an issue in the way that different guests have different environmental perceptions and standards. Each guest has his or her own perception of sound environmental management. Additionally, there are different opinions as to what extent guests should be involved in environmentally sustainable initiatives. By promoting research and especially by defining ecotourism, producing guidelines for tour operators and codes for travelers, the hopes are that ecotourism can gain the place it deserves in the future of tourism development. The concept of responsible tourism is based on the relationship between the tourist and the tourism actors, which involve the providers of tourism experiences, hotel employees, and local inhabitants. Tourists travel with their own culture, practices, and attitudes and financial capacity, but also bring along curiosity and a desire for exchanges. The welcoming communities are more than a simple campsite, hotel, or beach. Rather, they are a space, a village, with its population, its social rules, its economy, its environment, and its landscape. The meeting, a mixture of curiosity and respect, between the welcoming and the welcomed constitutes the first steps of responsible tourism. Beyond the basic tourism offers, which may include transport, lodging, and activities at a destination, responsible tourism finds its roots and falls under the logic of sustainable development. Indeed, responsible tourism is located at the intersection of three fields: economic, social, and environmental. Responsible tourism, in its design, mobilizes the local population, stimulates local agricultural and cultural production, and generates income, contributing to the financing of new projects, such as education, health, environment, production, for community living. Finally, the responsible tourist treats the environment and heritage in a transmitting logic, to future generations, not in a destructive logic. The responsible tourist actively participates in a mini-laboratory of sustainable development. In the hospitality industry, as in all industries, it is very important to have a good reputation, an image which conveys values matching those of the targeted consumers. This image has 4 dimensions: 1. Financial, 2. Commercial, 3. Social, and 4. Societal. The financial dimension concerns the owners, shareholders. It speaks for transparency, clarity, and reliability of the information. The commercial dimension concerns the consumer's wallets. It presents the fair trade, fair value of products and service rendered. The social dimension concerns the motivation of the employees. It relates to the conditions, the remuneration aspect and the working climate. The societal dimension concerns all other partners, suppliers, distributors, associations, public authorities. It confers a professional and responsible image and thrives in developing cooperation. The image contributes directly to the sustainability results and the viability of the business. A business deciding to invest fully in environmental and social responsibility can find massive rewards in terms of image. In the same way, proper and recognized certification or labeling would enhance the marketing presence of this company in the market and gain respect from consumers. A proper information and transparency strategy needs to be put in place in the field of environmental certification in order to obtain the impact desired regarding consumers.